Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Terraform to create a complete AWS environment which has a VPC, subnet, internet gateway, security group, and an EC2 instance, which automatically installs and hosts a web page. Before we even get started, we would have to download Homebrew in our terminal. So go to a new tab, open up and search up Homebrew, and it should be this one. And then click on it and then copy so this whole installation process and this whole AWS and VPC and terraforming stuff is going to be done on a Mac and slash Linux servers or Linux based computers. So if you're from a Windows, I'll make a new video later this week. So this is only for Mac users and Linux users. So copy this first code. This is going to install Homebrew. And then you could do Command Space to open up Spotlight and search up Terminal. And then this will be the first, click on the first one. And let me just clear this. And then once you have this one open, you would just paste it and click enter. It's going to ask you your password for your laptop or PC. So I'm just going to type mine in. And then it's going to ask you to press return or enter. So just do that and it should start downloading everything. I already have it downloaded, so that's why it's updating Homebrew. But if you're a new user, it should download it. It's just gonna ask me the same stuff again. And there we go, yeah. So this is how you know if it's downloaded. It should say run brew help to get started, or it should just show you something like this. And then after you're done, you would install Terraform by typing in this command, brew install Terraform. Click enter. And then since I already have Terraform installed, it's going to say that there's an error and it's already installed. So it's going to take it might take you about like a minute or two to get it downloaded. Once you have it downloaded, this is how you check if it's downloaded. So you would do Terraform, uh, Terraform slash v, and then it should give you the version number. So this is how you would check if Terraform is downloaded or not. So after that, after Terraform is downloaded, go back to VS Code. Oh, this is an old file. Okay, go back to VS Code, click on extensions, and you will need to download Terraform extension, and you will need to download AWS extension, AWS toolkit. So for this, in order for this thing to work, and then once you have everything downloaded, go back to your main thing, and then you would click, right click, and then create a new folder, and then you would create, for the sake of the video, I'm gonna do Terraform v1, which is YouTube video. Open that, and then in this you would create a new file, and then I would, since we're doing this everything in one file, I would name it main.tf, and then this needs to be inside this, so I'm just going to move it, and there we go. We have everything set up, we have everything downloaded. Now we're just going to start doing everything. So after you're done downloading everything, you will go back to your search engine, open up a new tab, and look up AWS provider Terraform. Open it up, and then if you scroll down, you should see this section. I will copy this and then go back to the home page and paste it. So the region depends on wherever you are. This is mostly found on your AWS page. The reason we start off the Terraform with the provider block is because it tells the Terraform which cloud platform we're using and then in which region we are. So here we're using the AWS and choosing the US East 1 region because that's where I am. You have to make sure that you're configured to your AWS credentials using AWS CLI before running this. So what most people would do is put an access key and a secret key, and then it would be in quotes. So this is where you would, most people would do it if you can't run it without, if it's not in your, if the credentials are not in your Mac. or your computer. But since I have it on my computer, I'm gonna not use these two in the code and then just run it as usual. But if it doesn't work for you the way I'm doing it, you can try to use these two and see if it fixes it. So yeah, I'm not gonna use these two, and then we'll just delete those, and then we're gonna go with the next, which is creating a VPC. So next is our VPC, or also known as a virtual private cloud. So this, think of this as our own private network inside the AWS. So where do you find this block of code? You would go back to your search engine and then look up AWS VPC Terraform. And that's the first thing. And then just scroll down to see basic or example usage. So for this one, we're going to be using this basic usage type. So copy it and then go back to the VS Code and then paste it. So I would keep this the same. So the resource AWS underscore VPC, that needs to be the same. And then this one, you could change it however you want. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to choose, since this is a VPC for Terraform, I'm going to do Terraform underscore VPC. So that's going to be the name. And then we will leave the CIDR block alone because the CIDR block defines the IP range of a network. So, and here we're using like over 16 block, which gives us over 65,000 private IPs, which is more than enough for most of the projects you'll be doing. So I would just leave the CIDR block alone. The only thing that would change, I would change here is remove the tenancy because we're going for a more basic and more simplified version of creating a Terraform and a VPC. So I would just delete this. And the tag, this is how it's going to show up on the display or on the AWS website. So I would just copy the name and then paste it. Just keep it the same, simple. Just name it Terraform underscore VPC. Now you know that, oh, this is for Terraform and this is not for something else. Now, the next one we would need to create would be the Internet Gateway, because this allows resources in our VPC to access the internet, and then we need to create and attach an internet. So that's why we need to create and attach it. So this can be again done by going back to your browser, open up a new tab, and searching up AWS Internet Gateway and Terraform. So as you can see, just type this one in, and it's the first one, and then copy the example usage, go back to the thing, and then paste it. So again, it's the same as this one. You can change these two names. I'm just going to change this one to saying Terraform underscore GW, which means gateway, and then copy this and paste it in the same for the tags because this is where I want to make sure that when I delete everything or when I'm gonna delete everything, I want to make sure that I delete everything that's related to this Terraform. Form. And then the VPC ID here is wrong because we changed a few stuff up for the resources or VPC resource. So the ID, since we don't have a VPC running, the only way to get our VPC ID would be putting in the resource name dot and then whatever the name you gave the VPC dot ID. So this is how it's gonna. This is basically a command that it's gonna get the ID of the VPC without even without even having like a VPC running beforehand. Or that's how you put it in the Internet Gateway. So the next one we need to create is called subnet, which means a smaller ranges of IP addresses within our VPC and a place in a specific availability zone. So I'm gonna explain what it means later. So again, just like everything else, go back to the web page, search up AWS subnet Terraform, click on the first link, and then scroll down to see basic usage. So copy this one, go back to the thing, and then paste it. And as usual, I'm just going to change the name of it, which is going to be Terraform underscore subnet. Copy this, paste it with this tags. this is how basic. If I haven't explained this already, tags are basically the thing that you see on the graphical version of AWS Terraform. So if you go back to the AWS homepage, which I'm going to show you at the end of the video, you're going to see that the subnet's going to have a display name called Terraform underscore subnet, or whatever you put it inside the tags, inside the tags. So that's how you know that, oh, this is associated with this specific thing. And then, as usual, the VPC ID, we don't know the VPC ID, so we go back all the way back up, take the first, copy this, and then paste it. So we already did this for our internet gateway, so I'll just copy this section and then paste it back in. So that gives us the VPC ID, just like I explained earlier. The CIDR block, we're just going to leave this 10.0.10. So you need to add another 0 over 24 because this gives us about 256 usable IPs in the subnet. And then we would, so in order for this to run, or the subnet needs to connect to the VPC, you would go back to the resource, look at what region you are, copy it, copy the region, come back down, and this is called availability zones. So you would type in availability zone equals, and then whatever you are, and then type A, press A, and then that should be your availability zones. Because subnets usually end in either A or B based on whatever region you live in. So as we said, my region is US East 1, so we're just going to add an A at the end. You could also do a B, you could also do anything you want. It doesn't matter, but it needs to end with either A or B. And then now, in order for the subnet to work, you will need to create a route table. So because a route table allows the subnet to communicate with the internet, and we need to, that's why we need to set it up. So firstly, we define a route table, define a route that sends out all outbound traffics to the internet gateway. So I will go back to the thing. I'll go back. I will go back to the thing, web page. Search up AWS route table, Terraform. Look it up, AWS route table, Terraform. Go down, and then I will copy this this section right here. Copy it, go back to the thing, and then paste it. If you want tags, I'll show you how to do the tags later. So this is a route table basically. So I obviously changed the name of it, so I'm just going to say Terraform route table. And then the VPC ID, it's asking you for the VPC ID because everything needs to connect back to the VPC ID. So you just copy the VPC ID. We have basically pasted in for everything. Paste it. The route, it's going to be, CIDR is going to be 0.0.0. So to make sure that everything is public so that you can access the internet over 0. And then for you to get the gateway ID, you would go back up. It's the same as the thing we did for VPC ID. Copy this name, make sure it's the same, and then delete this dot, go back up, copy the name that you gave it, which is for mine it's Terraform underscore GW dot ID. Simple as that. It's the same as it's the same we did for the VPC. Copy the VPC dot the VPC name dot ID, and then that's how you get the VPC ID. Here it's asking for the internet gateway ID, and you basically do the same thing. So and for this, if you want to give it tags, you can copy this and then just do this. Oh, oops. Let me just, yeah, okay. Just do that, and then it should, and you can just copy the name, paste it back in, and it should be the same. Okay, this is done. We need to then associate the route table with our subnet so that everything works properly. So we would go back to a search engine, look up AWS route table association Terraform. Pick the first one, and it should be start with the one that says subnet ID and route table ID. So copy it, go back to the code, and then paste it in. So as usual, change the name. I would change for mine is Terraform underscore association. Association. Right, and then we're gonna do everything. Okay. So as we just did earlier, we got the gateway ID, we got the VPC ID. Now it's asking you for the subnet ID. Go back up, look where we did the subnet, copy the name, copy that, delete everything else, and then do dot, and then the name of the subnet. So for our thing, it was Terraform underscore subnet dot ID. And then for the route table, you would go back up, look at the route table, copy the first name, dot, whatever name we gave it, dot ID. Simple as that, you're done with associate. You now you've associated the route table with the subnet, and everything else should be fine. Now everything inside this subnet will follow the routing table or the routing rules we just defined earlier. So it will be these things. So after this, you would create a security groups. So security groups act like firewalls, which will allow inbound and outbound traffic based on whichever ports you're given. So for the sake of this video, we're going to be doing port 22 for SSH, port 80 for HTTP, and then port 443 for HTTPS. So we would go back to the search engine, search up AWS security group Terraform, click on the first link, and then scroll down and then copy the example usage. So for this one, we're only using three of them. So I would only make sure that we copy only three of these things. So this is not the right one. Okay, this isn't the right one. Let me just go back. Yeah, so it'll be this one. You should see ingress, egress, which means input and output, or inbound and outbound. And then copy this one. It should look like this. I believe it was the second link. If you're using Google, it will be this one. Search it, click on it, scroll down, and then you should be able to see this section. Yeah, copy it and then go back to the code, paste it. Since, as I said, we're going to be doing three different inbound rules. So I would copy ingress and then paste it two more times. So this will give one of them will be SSH, one of them is going to be HTTP, the other one is going to be HTTPS. Now we would need to change the name of this thing. So I would name it whatever you want. So we'll do, what is this security group, right? We'll do Terraform secure, and then I would advise you to use the same thing for the name, but for the description, it could be anything. So I'm just going to do allow web and SSH traffic. The description could be anything because you're not gonna see this one, so it could be anything you want. But the name needs to be the same as whatever you put up here, or whatever you want to do it for the tags. So as always, it's gonna ask you for the VPC ID. So go back up, copy the VPC ID, which is basically found, and then paste it. And then now this is where the ingress, which is SSH 80, port 22 for SSH, port 80 for HTTP, and port 443 for HTTPS is going to be placed. So the description is going to be, so the first one is going to be HTTP, and this is going to be 80, this is going and 80, and then this is going to be SSH, and this one's going to be 22. The protocol it's going to be the same protocol for everything. It's going to be TCP protocol. And then lastly for 443, it's going to be HTTPS. And then the egress is going to be this, which basically means everything's going to be the same. And then for the CIDR blocks, so as you can see, it says CIDR blocks right here. For these things, we have to make everything 0, 0, so that it enables traffic from both ends, and it's also public because we're using the internet gateway. So we're just going to do this, and then we'll do 0.0.0.0 over 0. Copy this, and then paste it for every single CIDR block you see in the ingress section. As you can see, it's also the same for the egress section. 0, and then the -1 basically means every type of protocol. So it accepts any type of protocol. And then the name, I'm just gonna do the same name for the disk tags, Terraform Secure, the security group. And then now that we're done with this, we'll go with the network interface and the elastic IPs. So basically, a virtual network card. It's basically the virtual network card, and it gives a static IP address. So we can also associate it with the security group we just created. So this needs to be associated with the security group we just created. So firstly, for the network interface, we will go back to the search engine. Go type in AWS network interface, Terraform, and then the first one that pops up, then you would copy, I believe it's just this part, copy it, go back to the code, and then paste it. Don't forget to close this off. So the subnet ID, it's going to ask you for the subnet ID. Go back up, look where we created the subnet. So there we go, there we go. We have the subnet ID right here. Copy the subnet ID, come back down, paste it, and then remove the security ID. So we're going to remove the security ID. Go back up, look at what we have for the security group. So security group, that dot, and then whatever the name we gave it. We gave it Terraform underscore secure. That, oops, hold on. Let me just, that dot ID, and then there we go. That's it. Then we'd all for the private IPs we would have to change it to 10.10.50. We did this because earlier we did this part, so we needed to. We can pick anything you want for this one. Personally, I did 50, and then we attach an elastic IP, so our server has a fixed IP for external access. So we would go back to the web browser, look up AWS Elastic IP Terraform, click on the first one, and it should be the one where it's associated with IP and all this stuff. So copy one of these things. You can copy either one or two. You're going to change the name later anyway. Copy it, go back to the thing, and then paste it. Oh, I did forget to change the name, so it's going to be Terraform Network. And then change this one. Again, I'm just going to leave it the same because it's easier for me to know that, okay, this is Elastic IP1, Elastic IP2. So we can just do EP or EL underscore 1. And the name, we're just going to leave the domain as VPC. And then the network interface ID is going to be the one we just created. So copy the first thing, dot, whatever the name it is, and then dot ID. And the associated IP is going to be the one we just did for the network interface. So it's going to be 10.0.10.50. And now we're going to do depends on. So this command is where it's going to depend on everything we have done so far. It's going to go on the internet gateway and attach Elastic IP to those things. So then we're going to just put in the AWS gateway ID, and then we can just scroll up. The gateway we just created, internet gateway, is this. We should have, okay, copy that dot, whatever the name we gave it Terraform underscore GW dot ID. And then there we go, that's it. And then you will need to put this in a list format. So it'll be in her brackets. Let me just check, make sure that it's the same name. Yeah, Terraform underscore GW. That's the name of the network interface. And we're done with that. And then finally, we need to launch our EC2 instance. So for mine, I chose Ubuntu AMI ID. You can go back to the AWS. I'm going to show you later where you can get the AMI ID. If you go back to your AWS website or server, you can see when you're launching an EC2 instance, you can click on the instance type and you can get the AMI ID. So for mine, I'm going to use Ubuntu MID. It might change, so I would just cross-check with the AWS website server, and then we're going to assign the network interface we created, and then we're going to run a user data script, and then install Apache. So as usual, go back to the search engine, look up AWS, I believe EC2 instance, and it's going to be Terraform. Click on the first one. I would copy the resource and network interface section. So it's not this one. Let me just go back. It could be this one. No. So yeah, okay, let me just look for it. It should be somewhere here. Yeah, there we go. Copy. So you have to scroll all the way down and then you have to copy this one. Copy this, go back to the code, paste it. For this one, I'm going to name it Terraform VPC or EC2. And then the AMI ID, it's going to be different. So I have it copied right here, so I'm just gonna paste it. I'm just gonna paste it. The MID right here, MI hyphen, and then the instance type. I'm gonna do T2 micro because that's the free version of the thing. If you want to do a larger one, as I showed you in the previous video or in the past few videos, you can do anything you want. You can pick any type of instance type, but if you're just trying to figure everything out, I would pick T2 Micro, which is the free version. And then you wouldn't need any of the tenancy, you don't need the host name, you don't need any of these. But what you do need is the availability zone, so it connects back to the EC2 instance. So availability zone is going to be US East, and it's going to be the same as the subnet, which is 1A. So it connects back to the EC2 VPC instance and the subnet. And after this, you need to connect the EC2 to a network interface, and then this is how you would do it. So it would be, you can look it up. I believe it should be AWS network instance Terraform, and then it will be should be here. Hold on, let me just look for it. Network interface network. Okay, there we go. Copy this part right here. So it should be about in this section called network and credit special example. So you need to copy this section, which says network interface, go back to the code, and then paste it inside the AWS EC2 instance. All right, let me just fix this. So now we need, it's going to ask you for the network interface ID. So go back up, look at the one we just created. So network interface, and then the name of it, .id. The device index is going to be 0. And then after this, just copy what I am doing. So this is so that installs everything that we need so we can run a web page, so we can look at the web page and open up an EC2 instance. So it's going to be user underscore data equals bracket less than EOF. And I would move it up here, and it's going to be hash. You just copy what I'm doing. So because these are the things you need to do, and I'll explain this in a later video. So yeah, after you're done with this one, the way you would run it, let me just change the name of the web server. Okay, after you're done with basically creating, you would go to the terminal. If you don't see it, you would need to go click on it. If you go all the way up here, you're gonna see a terminal section. Click on new terminal, and it should pop up like this. So right now, as you can see, we are in the Terraform folder. We're not specifically in the Terraform version 1 folder. So that's the way you would do it is cd. So you would do Terraform underscore whatever the file name is, and then slash, click enter. Now you're in it. Now if you do ls, you should see the main.tf file. So the way you run a Terraform file is by using what's called a lifecycle. So Terraform has initialization, then you have planning, then you have apply, then you have destroy. So initialization basically makes sure that Terraform is initialized properly, and then you have the planning phase. Terraform planning basically shows you what it's going to create even before it's done creating. And then the apply is going to create everything. It's going to take a while, but it's going to create everything you need. Then it's going to boot up a server. It's going to run everything. Then you have destroy, which basically terminates every single EC2 instance or VPC instance, subnets, all this kind of stuff easily. So previously, the way we did it last time was that we went to each individual thing on the website, on the AWS website, when we were doing it graphically. We went to each individual thing, made sure that it was detached from the VPC, then released it or deleted it or terminated it. Then we went back to the EC2 instance or VPC instance, deleted that, and then it was like a whole tedious process. Right, this Terraform right here, once you do Terraform destroy, it destroys everything you just created when you have everything in this code or in this main.tf file. So I'm just going to show you. We're gonna first save this. So you would do command-s to save the file. Then you would do terraform.init, which is initialization. It's going to initialize everything. So the way you know everything's initialized is that it's going to take a while, and then it's going to pop. There are a few files that are going to pop up on the side. See, a few files that are going to pop up on the side. Then and then you would do terraform.plan, and it's going to show you everything that it's going to create. Okay, I think I made a mistake. I'm just gonna see what I did wrong. Oh, what I did wrong. So it was supposed to be like this. Depends on without the ID. I had ID right here, so it was supposed to be like this. And then down here, it was supposed to say tags equal instead of just tag and then the brackets. So I'll just go back. So as you can see, it needs to be tags equal. And then this one right here, there shouldn't be an ID. It should just be Terraform underscore GW or whatever name you gave it. So after this, you would save it and then you would initialize it again. You have to initialize after each save and if you want to see the changes done. And then you would plan it. Should run properly now. As you can see, now it's saying that it's gonna add 9 of them, 0 changes or 0 destroyed. So if you scroll back up, you're gonna see everything we created. So it's gonna add an internet gateway. As you can see, we created an internet gateway called Terraform underscore internet network. It's going to create everything known for apply. It's going to create nine stuff, nine of the things we just made sure that we put in the code. So yeah, after this, then if you just do Terraform dot apply, it's going to run everything. So once we hit apply or enter, once we write this code down, it should start to create a server. It's going to ask you a yes or no question. Just type in yes, and then it should start creating everything, and I'll get back to you when it's done. You can see it should say apply completed resources 9 or whatever, how many of them you have created. This is how you make sure that it's done. If you just go back to the AWS EC2 instance page, and then you click on the web server, select the web server. If you scroll down, you should see an elastic IP, or it should say public IP. Copy that. And then if you just open up a new tab and paste it, it should show you the web server. Here we go. It should say here, yeah, this is exactly what we said in our echo. Echo is a command basically which prints out or it says on the web page or on the thing. What do you want it to say? So it basically gives you this, and then that's it. This is how you check. This is how you create an EC2 instance and a VPC instance with a file or like a code that you want to download, or do you want that you want other people to see. And an easier, if you want to destroy it, if you want to like terminate everything all in one command, you could do Terraform.destroy, Terraform space destroy. And if you just, it's going to ask you a yes or no question again. If you just say yes, it's going to destroy everything. You don't have to do anything about route tables. You don't have to go in. You don't have to go in here and delete everything. You don't have to go into like instance types, EC2, VPC, subnet, all this kind of stuff. It just does it for you. So I'm gonna come back when it's done. Here we go. It says destroy 9 resources, destroy complete, and then if you just go back to the instances, EC2 instance types, you should be able to see all states. You should see that. Oh, this is the one I created earlier. Both of them are terminated. And then, yeah, that's how you basically create an EC2 instance. That's how you destroy it. That's how you would connect it to a VPC. That's how you would attach a subnet and all this kind of stuff.